Which RPG do you enjoy adapting the most? That's today's question. And I'll start by saying I really love the word adapting. Um, there is a word that is often used in RPGs called conversion that I think is a word that leans toward madness. And the reason I say that is because with conversion, if you're trying to take uh, your favorite RPG system and play another game in that RPG system, it is easy to get stuck in the weeds, as it were, trying to create some sort of one-to-one conversion from the original system to the new system that you're trying to run. And that way lies madness. Um, Adaptation gives you more wiggle room. Um, when you adapt a role playing game, you are modifying it to fit a genre or emulate some sort of fiction or something along those lines. Um, and I like that. In fact, the RPG that I am going to bring up here is the community for this game has a motto in general of don't convert, adapt. Adapt by the adapt from the fiction, adapt from the property. Don't try to create a one-to-one um, version of every mechanic from the old game. Because if you're doing that, just play the old game. Just play the other game or whatever. Um, the game that I really enjoy adapting is Savage Worlds. And the reason is there are things that I've spoken about and hinted at um, in this very series that we're talking about here, this RPG a Day series. Savage Worlds has a very tight paradigm, a tight set of consistent rules. And it's got these great little buttons and dials that you can play with to great effect. You can play everything from superheroes to gritty, deadly cosmic horror to pulp adventure to historical pieces, science fiction. It doesn't matter. Now, all systems have things that they're better at, regardless of uh, their intent. For instance, Savage Worlds is very good at action. And a lot of people associate this with pulp, but I think that's a mistake. You can have action and have it not be pulpy. Just because dice explode doesn't make it pulpy. Um, they can represent other things. For instance, the perfect gunshot that kills somebody off. Doesn't have to be pulpy. That happens in, Dirty Harry. It's not exactly a pulpy adventure type of storyline. In a Supers game, the superhero gets that amazing shot in and sends the opponent flying through a wall, doing additional damage, that sort of thing. It's not necessarily pulp. It's definitely action. It's definitely something that leans toward adventure. And if you play Savage Worlds rules as written, without adding any setting rules, and without adding any, turning any of those dials, yeah, you're going to get action adventure. You will get effects that seem similar to pulp, but I think that is a false generalization, just calling it pulp adventure. And I think that comes from the art that the game has used on its covers in the past, which they have since moved away from. I think the most popular edition of Savage Worlds was that really gave it its name. Not even the most popular edition, but probably the most popular edition would have been the original Explorers edition, and that had a decidedly pulp adventure feel on the cover. And I think that got Savage Worlds sort of pigeonholed as a pulp game. But anyway, it's not important. Why, what do I adapt? What do I like adapting in Savage Worlds? I love creating appropriate edges and hindrances. I love making small changes to existing rules to create something that feels different. This is easily done with the magic and power system. I just love how you can play 2 games of Savage Worlds back to back, and if you're remotely skilled at adapting it, hacking it is another word I would probably use, you can play very different games. There's a lot of complaint's the wrong word. There is a lot of commentary out there that playing a lot of Savage Worlds is samey. I would put the onus of this on the settings that people are choosing when playing the game. There are, like any game system, certain edges that you're going to see commonly because people find what they believe is their killer, character build or whatever. But again, that's choice. Someone has made a decision that this is the optimum build, and that's what they build over and over again. And then they complain that it's too much the same. Another thing I like about Savage Worlds is that it has evolved over the 14 years it's come out. And whenever it evolves, the changes are made available for free. You could literally still be working off the original book that came out in 2003 with Cheyenne Wright's cover art and have a couple of change documents. There have been a few, and be playing the game without ever having to buy another book. Now, they have made, the fine folks at Pinnacle have made the book very affordable. For the last several printings and the last 2 editions, there has been a $10 option. a soft cover, a small size book. It's been 6.5 by 9 is the size, and it's been $9.99. It's the best, in my opinion, the best $10 in gaming. The best use of $10 in role playing. Especially since most of the adaptation that I've done hasn't even used the companion books that have come out. I don't just, add mechanics willy-nilly. I try to cleave as close to the core rules as possible. So you can get a lot of gaming out of that $10. Anyway, that's the answer. My favorite game to adapt is the Savage Worlds core rules. And a good portion of the people seeing this are not going to be surprised, I think. So anyway, until tomorrow, do good, avoid evil, and play more games.